What's up, guys? Shane here, House of Cards, TCG. Today, Tyler and I are going to count down our top 5 hand traps of the January 2021 format.
House of Cards,
TCG.
All right, guys, let's kick it off. Top 5 hand traps. Let's go ahead and unveil our number 5.
Skullmeister.
Nibiru.
Nibiru.
All right, let's
5?
Let's see what.
Okay.
Why Skullmeister?
I don't think that's Skull. I think Skullmeister is a good card. I don't think it's a top 3 hand trap. It's going to be very effective, but it's going to be good in the new format with the top decks that are coming out. However, on your end, I think Nibiru is definitely stronger than a 5.
I like Nibiru. I like it a lot. It's really great against Virtual World. You need it to kind of stop them from getting out the True King of all calamities. But there's just a lot of decks right now that Nibiru just doesn't hit. It can't hit Invoke Dogmatica. It struggles against Dino because they have that Misk protection. So I think there's just a lot of decks. If you're main decking Nibiru, it's just completely useless in game 1. So it kind of hurts you a little bit. But Skullmeister I like. I think personally it's just a worse version of Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So it's tough for me to put 2 cards that basically do the same thing in the top 5. But yeah,
That's understandable.
let's go on to number 4.
Okay. Ready?
Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
Okay. Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird for me is a number 4 because the only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't stop that first edition. It stops it going forward. So, Ash is good because it does stop that initial, I'm going to grab this card. The reason why I like Droll and Lockbird better than Ash is because Droll and Lockbird, say I'm baiting an Ash, I play a card, I get my addition, then you play Droll and Lockbird. Now I didn't get anywhere because that was a bait for Ash. And a lot of people are looking into Ash and playing Ash, but it only stops 1. Droll and Lockbird lets you get that card and then stops you for the rest of the turn. Hitting a lot of decks that like to do additions from the deck. So I actually like Droll better than Ash. No surprises going forward on that one, but
Yeah, so the reason I chose Ash is because it's so generic. It can hit so many decks. I get Tyler's point that sometimes you play the Ash and it does stop them from 1, but then from there on out they can still do whatever they want essentially. Whereas Droll, if they're going to be searching more often, it pretty much stops them in their tracks. But there's just a lot of decks right now where Droll and Lockbird, let's say you play it against Zoo, it just doesn't do anything. You play it against
Ash doesn't do anything against Zoo either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Zoo I guess that's a good point. But I think a well-timed Ash is just better sometimes than Droll and Lockbird. Droll and Lockbird is great against Drytron and Invoke Dogmatica, but I just feel like Ash has more generic utility, especially if you're playing at like a locals and you're playing some of these rogue decks.
Well, so even against Dinos, Ash doesn't. I feel like doesn't really. It can play well, but Droll and Lockbird actually can't because Dino does a lot of searching too. I mean, it's a sequence of about 3 searches that gets you out UTC.
Yeah, but
So if you stop you on Ovi, even though you have miss, I stop you on Ovi. After that, you're not going UTC.
Well, if you do Droll and then if you try to Droll the Oviraptor and then they chain Misk, it has no effect anyway because dinosaurs on the field.
No, so with Droll, so you search it, you use Oviraptor's effect resolves, then you play Droll.
Okay.
Because it's after that search. So you search it, then I play Droll. So now Oviraptor search what? Amador?
Amador and Archosaur?
Yeah.
That's something you can search, yeah.
Okay. So what would you search with Oviraptor?
You probably would want to add a baby Ceratosaurus to your hand.
Okay, so baby, boom. Now you play Droll. Now baby's irrelevant because you can't search.
Yeah, it has utility against Dino. I'd kind of have to, I guess, see it in a duel and playtest both. I just feel like the Ash, you want to, if they banish the Miscellaneousaurus to special summon, you would want to Ash that Misk.
Yeah.
It would just kind of lock them out.
It's different play. For us, when we started doing this, kind of a spoiler, Ash is not in my top 5. I like Droll and Lockbird better than Ash. So this is where our big argument came in at, was talking about this. So Okay.
Yeah, let's go on to
Number 3.
Number 3,
It's not a big surprise. Here you go.
Gamma.
Gamma, I like Gamma. It's not my... Okay, I like Gamma too. Ghost Bell, Haunted Mansion.
All right, so I chose Gamma because, first off, you can do it offensively and defensively. If I'm playing with dinos and let's say I activate Misk and then I activate Misk effect to banish, and then let's say they do Lancia, because Lancia is so strong against dinos. I could actually activate the Gamma on my turn. It would negate their Lancia, and I would get the driver, and I could potentially go into the Psy-Frame Gear Synchro card, and then I could rip a card out of their hand. So the fact that you can do it offensively and defensively, and it stops any monster effect, it just makes it so generically good. There's really no decks right now that don't activate monster effects. So Gamma is just, if you can resolve it on your turn, like I said, you pretty much win that game. That's really tough to come back from, because they already used the card in hand, Lancia or even Ash, and then you rip another one out. So it just makes it really challenging to play. So I love Gamma this format.
Gamma's definitely a good card. The only drawbacks to Gamma I don't like are the 2 restrictions, which is 1, driver has to be in your deck. And
Or
2,
graveyard.
Or graveyard. And 2 is that you can't have any monsters.
Correct.
So those are the 2 drawbacks to Gamma. So it's almost like if you go first, Gamma really doesn't play. But if it plays on Lancia.
If they have hand traps, it does, yeah.
It plays on Lancia, which is good. For me, Ghost Bell is 3. I like Ghost Bell because of just the variety that you can use it on. You can use it on the banish. So if banish a card from the graveyard, so Ghost Bell can actually play against Miss, which I really like.
Yep.
It also does very well against Virtual World. I mean,
Yep.
essentially, Ghost Bell can play on any deck because of the different options that it has, whether it be to special summon a monster, I think from the graveyard, to banish a card from the graveyard, or to add a card from the graveyard to the hand. So there's a lot of graveyard interaction. So I think Ghost Bell definitely plays very well against any deck.
Oh yeah, I mean Ghost Bell. I think it's there's so many decks that rely on the graveyard this format that Ghost Bell has really been propped up, and I think it's actually even probably a little bit better than where you have it. So let's move on to
You like my alternative art?
I do. I have the same one.
You do? Oh, okay.
All right, so let's go on to number 2.
Yep.
Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion.
Okay, so I had that at 3. You have it at 2.
Yep.
I think it's a strong contender for 2, for sure. I like Nibiru. I think it's still a very powerful card, and for most decks, it stops them in your tracks, and you're stuck with a token in defense mode that's easy to get over.
I don't like Nibiru so high because Invoke Dogmatica you can't use Nibiru against. They have the Macabre on board so early, way before 5 summons. You can't use it against Virtual World. Well, you can against Virtual World, but a lot of times they can play through it. But you also can't use it against Dino because they have the Misk protection. So if I main deck Nibiru, I'm seeing so many Dino decks at locals. It's like the Nibiru is just dead so many times. Drytron, Nibiru can be impactful. It can stop them from building their board. I haven't been playing a whole lot of Drytron, so that's the reason I had Nibiru lower. For Ghost Bell, I think it's just there's so much graveyard reliance in this format. It hits Dino, it hits Invoke Dogmatica, it hits just so many different decks right now. Virtual World stops them from banishing the Searcher, the spell card. So Ghost Bell, honestly, could be number 1 right now. It's just almost
I don't think it could be number 1. I have a feeling that we have the same number 1. It's probably not going to be number 1. But on Nibiru, though, so I think Nibiru has a lot of play. I mean, I think that the format, it seems like everybody's playing True King of all Calamities. So if you're not playing Nibiru, or, of course, I think what our number 1s are going to be, how are you going to stop it? It's almost like you should main deck both so that you can stop True Kings of all Calamity coming out, because that's the one you want to stop. You don't want to see it because you're
also, if you're going second and they get out the True King of all Calamities, you can Gamma that True King of all Calamities, which would really, really punish them. So Nibiru is good. I like Nibiru. I think it's currently underrated, but I just think number 2 is a little bit too high. I mean, it's all opinion, so it's
all good. And I think the reason why we have these are number 2 and they're not number 1 is because going to say that we both have the same number 1.
Artifact Lancia.
Oh, you had to flex on me, huh? With the secret?
I do have the secret here. So.
All right, so Lancia, let's just talk about Lancia and how we both agree is number one because it's, I mean, are you main decking it yet?
I am main decking
I'm
it
main
because
decking
Invoke
it too.
Dogmatica, Dino punishes them. Anything that banishes, they can't banish that.
Which is every deck.
Yeah, which is basically
is
every
there a-
deck. Virtual World has to banish, like I said, the spell card to search out and get their combos. Sometimes they don't need it, but it's still a lot. They have to have a perfect hand to play through it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Lancia is definitely number one. I mean, it just hits every single deck pretty much, except for Zoo. I think is the only deck that doesn't banish. I mean, even my Dragon Link deck, I banish on the white and black dragons.
Yep.
So I mean,
so it would stop that, although that's not like a huge play for you, but it still would hit it.
it would stop me from extending.
Yep.
So it would stop me from going full combo. So even on all the boards, it just stops. So Lancia, I think that's a definite number one in everybody's book
Lancia
right
is so impactful this format.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention. So before we flip these, I gotta say mine isn't a hand trap necessarily,
Okay.
but it's when you think about hand traps, it's additional cards that you add into the deck to play on outside the engine, right?
Yep.
So I think
Just
that
kind of
this-
stun the opponent.
Yeah, so I think this is a powerful card that I've been playing a lot. And actually, in the last locals I played, a couple, whatever that was, this actually probably was MVP for me.
Okay.
It won me the games. It won the locals that I got first place in.
Let's go
This
ahead
was my MVP.
And reveal it.
Gamma Seal.
And I have Droll and Lockbird.
So interesting because you have Droll and Lockbird. You have Ash better than Droll and Lockbird. And I think Droll and Lockbird's better than Ash.
Yeah, I feel like Droll and Lockbird is just there's just a lot of decks it doesn't hit. I love it in the side deck. It's always going to be in my side deck because Drytron, it just punishes them. It ends their turn. Other than that, I feel like Ash just has more generic utility. I can just play it more often. So I like Ash a little bit better. But go ahead and explain for Gamma Seal.
So Gamma Seal, it's just, I mean, you tribute the boss monster and you get to go play. Even if you go first, you set your board and then pass turn. If they get over your board, chances are you probably didn't get OTK'd. You might have, but it's a way to continue to play, especially in grind matches. I mean, all right, so think about top decks right now. Battle Butler, boom, off the field, don't have to worry about it. Zeus, boom, off the board, don't have to worry about it. UTC, boom, off the board, don't have to worry about it. Dragoon, off the board. If you play Mechaba, if you play Winda, any of those, boom, off the board, don't have to worry about it. I think it's just important to have, and it's just a way to get over different cards, different boss monsters.
Let's talk about number. How many do you play in the deck? Is there a magic
3.
number?
I play 3.
Okay.
I want to see Gamma Seal because I've never had Gamma Seal and not played it, and that's just me. Even if you're going second, and if you're playing, it's not a bad feel. It's just I don't think it's a bad feel. I like playing Gamma Seal. It's people don't expect it, and you overcome them, and then. So what? You have this on your opponent's side of the field, and it's not like I can't get over.
Yeah, it's only 22, so that's really good. The only reason I didn't include a kaiju, I do like the kaijus. I think they're strong going second. So maybe I would probably side them in, unless the deck was built around going second, like your Zoo deck is.
My Zoo is. I mean, my Dragon Link isn't. I still have kaijus in there because, if I get caught going second, and I wasn't expecting, I still have kaiju. Or if I set my board. And let's say I set my board and it's not as strong as I want it to be. How many times do you draw cards and you're not consistent, or you get hand trapped and you don't have the board that you want? You're weak. I just think it's important to have. With all the other hand traps out there stopping you, you have it. It's there.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong option. There's so many, like you said, good boss monsters this format, so it really helps take care of those problems that otherwise you wouldn't really be able to get over.
I mean, last thing I want to see is UTC and I can't play. So. Or Zeus and you can't play, or anything.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean,
different.
This will get over calamities too. They still can use their effect.
Yeah.
But you get over it, you get to, do whatever, and then hopefully play through it. All right, so
cool.
top 5 hand traps with an honorable
Top 5
mention.
hand traps, January 2021. Let us know what you think down below. If you think that there's better, more impactful cards, let us know whose list you think is better, mine or Tyler's, because they are wildly different.
And in the comments, let us know what you think. Is Ash a top 5 hand trap or not? I don't think so.
I think it is.
I think Droll and Lockbird's better. That's the big conversation we just had. So
Yeah, let's hear it. Duke it out down below.
let us know. All right, guys. Shane and Tyler, House of Cards TCG.
Signing out.
House of Cards.